going to read this?
I have a present for you. You get more. Sorry. Sorry.
I need a paperweight for those, or for these.
Let me see what I can find.
That'll work.
So we're going to take some pictures?
Turn that side on. Yeah, just let me get started here.
Okay, let me know when you want me to.
Whenever you think it feels right.
Okay. And you're videotaping, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Check 1, 2. Check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check. Check 1, 2. So I said when I released the documents that they are public documents and the public should have them freely available. I have 50 free copies with me here in front of City Hall. While I'm waiting on people to come by and pick those up, I'll just read the summary of the investigation by the FBI and FDLE. I'm trying to make sure we're here in case things happen. Okay. This is the investigative summary conducted by the FBI and FDLE on the public integrity of our local city government. In September of 2015, that'll be almost 5 years from now, Special Agent Bridget Trelia of the FBI initiated an investigation after receiving information that Jose G. Aguilar, hereinafter Aguilar, was trafficking in cocaine and providing controlled substances to public officials in Palm Bay. A reliable and trustworthy FBI confidential source informed S.A. Trelia that Aguilar provided one or more Palm Bay City councilmen scheduled and controlled narcotics in an attempt to corruptly influence members of the government for his benefit. Excuse me. In February of 2017, your client, an FDLE resident agent in charge, Jason Kriegsman, met with FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Roth and S.A. Trelia to discuss investigating the allegations jointly. S.A. Lewis was assigned to assist with the investigation thereafter. On September 12, 2015, a confidential source. Now keep in mind, reading through this document, you can tie these confidential source references to about 5 people. This one, it's my opinion that this confidential source is Stuart Buchanan. He was outfitted with an electronic device for the purposes of monitoring and recording a meeting between himself and Aguilar. The meeting didn't take place as expected, and a controlled and recorded telephonic conversation between the CS and Aguilar was obtained. The following is a summary of the conversation between the subjects. Aguilar said he brought some prescription painkillers, the same ones as before, to Palm Bay City Councilman Jeff Bailey. At his residence, Aguilar owned on Canova Street in Palm Bay, now known famously as the Clubhouse. The residence was referred to by the subjects as the Clubhouse. Aguilar stated that he was also going to get Bailey some oxys, a slang term for oxycodone, and what the CS suspected was Aguilar's way of increasing Bailey's addiction to illegal drugs. Aguilar mentioned that he planned on hiring someone to install surveillance and equipment at the Clubhouse for the purpose of recording Palm Bay City Councilman Calvin Holton having sexual relations with female prostitutes, which according to the CS, Holton frequently did. On September 17th, 2015, the CS, outfitted with an electronic device for the purpose of monitoring and recording a meeting between the CS and Aguilar at Palm Bay City Hall. The following is a summary of the conversation between the subjects. The CS met with Aguilar and the subjects briefly conversed before the city council meeting. Aguilar again mentions that he's planning on hiring someone to install cameras at the Clubhouse to bankroll and blackmail city councilmen. The CS later informed S.A. Trillia that on September 22nd, 2015, a meeting took place at Aguilar's residence. During the unrecorded meeting, Aguilar and David Isnardi discussed expanding their extortion plot to include other members of Palm Bay City Council. Originally, the subjects planned on targeting Holton and subsequently expanded the extortion plot to include Bailey. The subjects discussed where they could obtain recording equipment for the plot and eventually concluded that they would install the equipment themselves to limit their liability. Subsequent to the installation of the cameras, the subject plans on inviting Bailey to the Clubhouse to socialize and drink with some prostitutes and themselves. At some point after arriving at the Clubhouse, Isnardi and Aguilar would create some sort of ruse and would leave Bailey there alone with the prostitutes, hoping they would be able to record Bailey having sexual relations with the prostitutes. The subjects expected to confront Bailey after obtaining a recording and then would attempt to obtain Bailey's votes on various issues related to Isnardi's job security and zoning changes for property Aguilar owns. Aguilar wanted to obtain a zoning variance on a property owned in Palm Bay, where Aguilar wanted to open a scrap metal business. Aguilar was willing to pay Isnardi and the confidential source if they helped obtain the zoning variance to industrial. If approved, Isnardi would also become a silent partner in the business. During a subsequent interview with Isnardi admitted that he and Aguilar planned on owning a scrap business together. Excuse me just a moment. I need a drink. On September 25th, 2015, a confidential source was outfitted with electronic devices for the purpose of monitoring and recording a meeting with confidential source, Aguilar and Isnardi. The following is a summary of the recorded meetings between the subjects. The subjects mentioned that Palm Bay City Manager Greg Link was upset over Bailey's behavior and how Bailey was voting at city council meetings. Bailey reportedly needed to toe the line, not vote against them, and not question what we're doing at the meetings, period. Sir, would you like a copy of the FBI and FDLE report on what's happening behind those doors? Thank you. You're good. The subjects mentioned that Palm Bay City Manager Greg Link was upset over Bailey's behavior on how Bailey was voting at City Council meetings. Bailey reported needed to toe the line, not vote against them, and not question what they were doing at the meeting. The subjects again discussed the scrap metal business and how they needed to obtain approval from Link and the members of City Council that they wanted the property rezoned. The rezoning of property would substantially increase the value of property and would ultimately provide Aguilar with an estimated $600,000 to $800,000 upon resale. On November 5th, 2015, a confidential source was outfitted with an electronic device for the purpose of monitoring and recording a meeting between the confidential source, Isnardi and Aguilar, and Julie Bottom, Aguilar's girlfriend. The following is a summary of the recorded meeting. Ma'am, would you like a copy of the FBI report? Thank you. Prior to attending the public meeting and hearing regarding an agricultural exemption for Aguilar's property at 515 Grant Road, the subjects met at the Vieira Government Center and discussed the purchase and installation of surveillance equipment at the clubhouse. At one point, Isnardi stated, "We need to do that thing," referring to the extortion plot, and then said he would contribute $50 towards the equipment if the other subjects would contribute money as well. Aguilar said he would pay for it all if the subjects would first utilize their credit card for the purchase. Aguilar was known to carry large amounts of cash. Aguilar discussed how Bailey and Holton are not in line with him and how they need to obtain something solid on them, again referring to the plot to extort Bailey and Holton. Aguilar discussed how Bailey and Holton were seeking a third person on the city council, which would allow them to oust people such as Isnardi. Aguilar and Bottom told Isnardi that Holton and Bailey will fire him if they gain control of the city council. Aguilar went on to state that he's not going to let those fucking jerks ruin everything. Isnardi explained that they have been structuring people in key positions since October of last year, to which Aguilar points out that everyone is in position who should be in position. Aguilar then mentioned Bailey, who they refer to as the kid. Aguilar said Bailey is fucking broke, and Aguilar admitted that he offered Bailey a house. Excuse me. On December 20th, 2015, the confidential source was outfitted with an electronic device for the purpose of monitoring and recording a social gathering that was held at Aguilar's residence of 515 Grant Road, Palm Bay, Florida. On this same date, the following is a summary of the information obtained during the gathering. During the gathering, Aguilar discussed issues he was having with Bailey and mentioned that he suspects Bailey is leaking information to the press. The topic of housing for Bailey is brought up in the conversation between the CS and Bailey, during which the CS informed Bailey that Aguilar and the CS are attempting to obtain a house for Bailey. Several of the attendees discussed firearms as the confidential source, Bailey, Holton, and Palm Bay City Councilman Harry Santiago prepared to fire firearms at a shooting range at Aguilar's property. Aguilar and the confidential source traveled inside Aguilar's residence, and Aguilar opened a safe inside the residence. Aguilar informed the CS he has a 9, slang terminology for a 9mm firearm. And the CS noted that Aguilar also possesses a .357 handgun and a shotgun. Aguilar handed the CS a shotgun from the safe and the CS and Aguilar traveled to the shooting range where others were already shooting. The recorded footage also revealed that the safe contains boxes of ammunition. Bailey later confirmed that he was present during the gathering and observed a CS with a shotgun. On January 12, 2016, the CX was outfitted with an electronic device intended for the purpose of monitoring and recording a meeting with Aguilar at Aguilar's residence of 515 Grant Road. On the same date, the following is a summary of the information obtained during the gathering. During the recorded meeting, the topic of Palm Bay City Councilman Jeffrey Bailey was introduced into the conversation. Aguilar mentioned how Bailey is after Link and Isnardi and how he was not going to let Bailey fuck my friends like that, was the quote. Aguilar said he helped get Bailey elected and how Bailey subsequently began asking law enforcement all kinds of questions about me. That's a big problem right there, Aguilar said. He gets investigated by law enforcement every couple of years, he stated. And this puke thinks he's going to get something on me? The CS asked Aguilar if he thinks Bailey is attempting to obtain evidence against him, to which Aguilar stated, "Here's the deal. We got to take this motherfucker out. Whether we do it the way you guys said, whether we hire a good private investigator, and I'm going to pay. I'm going to try everything. Last resort is me. As a last resort, I'll terrorize this motherfucker in public," Aguilar then stated that he would address the city council and inform them how he's given Bailey thousands of fucking dollars or how he could sue Bailey. During a subsequent interview, Bailey admitted that he received $300 in cash from Aguilar. The topic of the deputy mayor's desire to become mayor is brought up, and Aguilar said he already has Little Joe lined up to run for that seat. "I'm going to kick his ass. He ain't winning again," Aguilar then stated. "I don't know if I should just approach him and grab him by the throat and tell him how it is, or if I should just avoid him." He then made an unintelligible statement that was followed by Aguilar stating, "Set the motherfucker up or something." Aguilar later stated, "Our boy's a problem. That's why I showed him the money. I wanted to see where he was at, and right after I showed him that money, he runs to the cops. Like the cops are going to do something about me. Really, if the FBI can't fucking do it, who do you really think these local yokels are going to do something?" As it pertains to this statement Aguilar made regarding how he showed Bailey a bag of money, Bailey confirmed that Aguilar showed him a bag of money that contains large amounts of cash before Aguilar stated, "I take care of my friends." Agent Trollia was outside the restaurant during the meeting and witnessed Bailey and Aguilar travel to Aguilar's vehicle where the money was reportedly shown to Bailey. Excuse me just a second, I need some more copies. Oh, can't do that. Yeah, give me some more copies of this, please. Thank you. The topic of Palm Bay Mayor Guillermo Capote, hereafter Capote, and former Palm Bay Mayor John Mazziotti, hereafter Mazziotti, was discussed. Aguilar said he was planning on meeting with Capote sometime this week, and then stated, I'm going to have him get control. All these people got to start doing their jobs, get control of this motherfucker. Make some shit happen with this motherfucker. The confidential source then said that the boy had a bad problem, reportedly referring to Bailey's addiction to prescription drugs. Aguilar said he could sue the city and Bailey and stated, I've given him all kinds of cash to rezone my building and to be a medical marijuana dispensary. Aguilar again mentioned that he thinks Bailey is leaking information to the newspaper, which reportedly was causing problems for Aguilar. Aguilar stated, we got to put this kid to sleep, and mentioned that they could take down Bailey by having Bailey get popped, slang terminology for arrested, with drugs in his car. They discussed the planting of drugs on Bailey's vehicle, and Aguilar said he has some Oxy-15, slang terminology for oxycodone. Aguilar admitted he had offered Bailey a house, which Bailey reportedly turned down because Bailey wanted power. Aguilar expressed his frustration with Bailey by stating, "At this point, I just want to tear him up." Aguilar is overheard giving the confidential source some pills, and Aguilar then inquired if the confidential source would like some of the other drugs. The confidential source asked Aguilar what he wanted to do, to which Aguilar replied, "Tell Dave to make it happen as soon as possible." They needed to discredit Bailey because of the newspaper thing, and how Aguilar was willing to buy a whole page ad to take down the kid. Aguilar said he even contemplated setting up a meeting with Bailey where he could get Bailey by the nuts and intimidate the fuck out of him. Aguilar then stated, "We got to take this kid out. We got to take this kid out." And he's digging, he keeps digging all over City Hall. Aguilar requested Bailey's address and reported that he could have his boys drive by Bailey's residence and drop some grenades. He then stated, "It almost happened to Mazziotti. My friends have no problems blowing shit up." Aguilar and his source discussed the best way they could send a message to Bailey, and Aguilar said that he needed to set him up or we're going to be violent with him. Aguilar stated Bailey's been talking shit about David, talking shit about Andy, and talking shit about fucking over our people. Aguilar provided scheduled narcotic pills to the source, and he instructed the source to plant the pills in Bailey's vehicle underneath Bailey's seat, in the vehicle glove box, and under the floor mats. Aguilar said his Nardi would have a sheriff's deputy he knows conduct a stop at Bailey's vehicle thereafter, which would lead to Bailey's arrest. Aguilar said mollies are a hot commodity with law enforcement and are easily detected by drug dogs. Aguilar instructed the confidential source to wear gloves and utilize a plastic bag while planting the drugs on Bailey's vehicle. Aguilar said he was going to keep his distance from, quote, "you guys," for a while to eliminate any suspicions coming his way. He also said he would have no problem shooting someone or blowing something up if it wasn't for the investigations to follow. "Believe me, I've got no problem doing either," Aguilar stated. "They have nothing on me," which Aguilar claimed was because he kept his circle very fucking small. Aguilar thought his Nardi could make it happen, and they would ultimately be able to discredit Bailey in the newspaper after his arrest. The confidential source informed Aguilar that Link was ready to snap and that Andy Anderson was ready to quit, to which Aguilar stated, "We got to take this kid out." They briefly discussed who they needed to retain in certain city positions to maintain their ability to control unspecified outcomes to their benefit. When describing his ability to control people in city government and influence votes for his benefit, Aguilar stated, "We're finally in a fucking position in time of our lives where we can make some serious fucking money. Run the fucking show." On January 12, 2016, shortly after departing from Aguilar's residence, the confidential source met with the FBI task force officer, Christopher Costilla, and turned over 2 plastic baggies, one of which contained 40 pills that were obtained from Aguilar. The pills were sent to the DEA laboratory for examination, and the results of the examination revealed that the pills were a controlled and scheduled drug. On August 4th, 2017, Isnardi and attorney John Murphy came to FBI Melbourne field office after Murphy requested a meeting per Isnardi's request. While discussing the alleged plot to extort Bailey, Isnardi admitted several times that he was involved in conversations about installing cameras at the clubhouse in an effort to record Bailey utilizing drugs and Holton having sexual relations with prostitutes. Isnardi also admitted being involved in conversations about Bailey's unwillingness to toe the line and vote as directed by Aguilar. Isnardi also admitted that there were also conversations about how Holton thought he was high and mighty and how they were going to bring him down. Isnardi said he recalled offering to pay $50 towards the purchase of cameras and that he researched the purchase of the surveillance equipment online. When questioned about the plot to plant drugs in Bailey's vehicle, Isnardi denied that there was actually a plan to plant drugs inside the vehicle. Yet then he admitted to the confidential source informed him that he had white drugs on the outside of Bailey's vehicle. Isnardi also admitted he did inform the CS that obtaining a police dog would be no problem. Isnardi also admitted that he contacted Brevard County Sheriff's Office agent Jason West about the possibility that illegal drugs were inside Bailey's vehicle. When questioned if he thought it was okay to plant drugs inside Bailey's vehicle, Isnardi stated he was doing drugs anyway. And then stated, that's not okay ultimately. Isnardi claimed the plot was only guys talking shit, drinking beers, and smoking cigars. On August 4th, 2017, Brevard County Sheriff's Office agent Jason West was interviewed. Agent West reported that approximately 1 year prior to the interview, he was contacted by Isnardi and informed Agent West that he had some information pertaining to drug activity involving members of the Warlock Motorcycle Club. Agent West informed Isnardi that he would contact Brevard County Sheriff's Office drug unit on Isnardi's behalf. Agent West did not believe Isnardi ever mentioned anything about Bailey. On August 4th, 2017, Bernard Weiss, hereinafter Weiss, Palm Bay's Assistant Public Works Director, was interviewed. Weiss reported that approximately 1.5 years prior to the interview, Isnardi informed him that Bailey might be dealing and selling drugs or something near a school. Weiss promptly contacted Palm Bay Police Department Lieutenant Craig Latulip and reported the aforementioned allegation. On September 6, 2017, Lieutenant Latulip was interviewed. Lieutenant Latulip confirmed that he was contacted by Weiss, and Weiss provided the aforementioned information to him. Shortly after obtaining the information from Weiss, Lieutenant Latulip contacted former Palm Bay Police Department Chief Mark Rankins and informed Chief Rankin of what Isnardi alleged. Excuse me, can you hand me some more of these, please? On April 9th, 2018, Bailey was interviewed. Bailey reported that Aguilar sought individuals in positions of influence and would attempt to obtain their cooperation via offers of benefit or implied threats. Bailey reluctantly admitted that he previously used tramadol while at the clubhouse and had witnessed Holton use cocaine at the clubhouse as well. Bailey claimed that Holton told him that he, being Holton, had obtained prostitutes for Palm Bay Mayor Capote while the subjects were in Tallahassee. Holton also offered to obtain a prostitute for Bailey. Bailey admitted that Aguilar had offered free rent at one of his residences and had shown Bailey a bag full of money at a meeting. On a subsequent interview with Bailey admitted that Aguilar gave him $300 in cash prior to Bailey's last election, which was in 2016. On May 1st, 2018, Dale Davis, District 5 Republican Party Chairman, was interviewed. Davis reported that approximately 3 years ago, he met with his friend Isnardi to discuss the process for selecting the new Palm Bay city manager. Isnardi wanted Davis's support in selecting Isnardi's friend Greg Length, and in exchange for Davis's support, Isnardi offered Davis a home through the Space Coast Paratroopers and an $85,000 a year job as the Palm Bay Bayfront Redevelopment Director. Davis also reported that he was contacted by a witness owner Thomas Bowe, who informed Davis that Isnardi had previously attempted to extort a bride from him in exchange for a roofing contract with the Brevard County School District. Bowe further reported to Davis that Isnardi had attempted to extort $1,000 per month from him in exchange for the roofing contract. On May 3rd, 2018, Bowe was interviewed. Bowe reported he was introduced to Isnardi by Anthony Masson, a subject who periodically provided Bowe with leads on jobs. Masson informed Bowe that Isnardi would be the guy to work with, that Isnardi be the guy that I would work with to get the work. Isnardi arranged for Bowe to meet members of the school board, 2 at a time to avoid a quorum, and Isnardi attended the meetings with Bowe. Isnardi informed Bowe he was Andy Anderson's chief of staff. Approximately 2 months after submitting his bid to the school board, Isnardi requested a meeting with Bowe to discuss what we could do together. Isnardi informed Bowe that it was an awesome opportunity for Bowe's company, and he claimed he could also get Bowe in front of other unnamed decision makers throughout the state. I know people all over the school districts, he said. Bowe agreed to the meeting with Isnardi, and on an unrecalled date, Isnardi came to Bowe's residence and met with Bowe. Bowe stated, "I'll never forget it." After arriving at Bowe's residence, Isnardi requested permission to utilize Bowe's computer. Isnardi utilized Bowe's computer and authored a document stipulating that Bowe would agree to pay Isnardi an unrealistic percentage of the contract at Sable Palm Elementary if Bowe wanted to obtain the contract. Isnardi informed Bowe that he needed to be compensated for his time. Bowe believed the total payments Isnardi requested was $24,000 or $25,000 that Bowe would have to pay over a 12-month period. Bowe believes that Isnardi made the offer on an unknown date in the summer of 2013. Excuse me. Bowe quickly realized that Isnardi was attempting to obtain a bribe from him. Bowe said he was offered by that he was offended by Isnardi's attempted bribe and described Isnardi as a crook. Bowe informed Isnardi that he was not interested in paying Isnardi for his time. The contract was subsequently awarded to a guy who, according to Bowe, knew nothing about what he was doing. Isnardi contacted Bowe later, rubbed it in his face by stating, "This other guy went with us and he got it done." Bowe was unable to recall who was awarded the contract. Bowe was 100% certain that Isnardi was soliciting a bribe in exchange for a contract at Sable Palm Elementary School. Bowe thought he could possibly locate copies of the document and or emails pertaining to his interactions with Isnardi. Bowe's computer system was infected with a virus sometime after his interactions with Isnardi. Bowe was unsure if the emails and or documents were retrievable. Prior to departing from the residence, Bowe located some related emails and provided investigators with copies of 4 emails between Isnardi and himself. Sir, would you like a copy of this?
No, sir.
The first email, dated June 5th, 2012, was sent from David Isnardi. In summary, Isnardi stated that he had a good conference call this morning, and he has scheduled a meeting on June 8th, 2012 with Brevard County School Board members Karen Henderson, Amy Neesey, and Andy Ziegler. Also, according to the email, the meeting was scheduled to take place at Isnardi's former office located at 1515 Sarno Road in Melbourne, which is the Brevard County Government Building. The second email dated June 29, 2012 was also sent from David Isnardi, and this is an email. Isnardi stated he needed to get together with Bo and Masson to discuss a few issues. The third email dated July 23rd, 2012 was also sent from David Isnardi. In this email, Isnardi reported that he'll be traveling throughout the state over the next weeks and requested a meeting to discuss our business relationship. The fourth email, dated July 23rd, 2012,
I'm new to here and I don't even know if I'm allowed to vote. I'm felon.
was also sent from David Isnardi. This email confirmed that Isnardi, Mazzone, and Bo were planning on meeting in Palm Bay or West Melbourne on Tuesday, July 24th, 2012. Alex Suberman, the owner of the business that was awarded the contract, was subsequently interviewed and denied knowing Isnardi or paying any money in exchange for the contract. This investigation produced no evidence disputing Suberman's claim. Give me just a second, I need to get a drink. Oh, he's a contractor? I need just a minute.
Yeah, you need a break. You need a break.
Say 12 out of 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should take a break. And you can go, just breathe and go slow. If you can really, really absorb this. It's pretty huge. Beyond huge. It was shocking. I mean, when I read the whole thing, it was beyond, it was more than I thought. It went deeper than I thought it would.
What you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
All right, good to see you, man. What you got going on?
I have the FBI and FDLE's report on the city of Palm Bay and what goes beyond, right behind those doors.
Oh, that's the case right
Mm-hmm.
here.
I'm reading the report.
All right.
On June 25th, 2018, Special Agent Lewis and Special Agent Anderson interviewed Masson at his residence. Masson reported that he is a commercial real estate agent and formerly was involved in supporting various Republican candidates. Masson met Isnardi through Anderson, who at the time was Brevard County's commissioner. Masson thought Isnardi was pushy and seemed to be a bit of a troublemaker. Anderson and Brevard County School Board member Andrew Ziegler were friends at the time the contract was open for bid. Masson described Bo as a really nice guy who he thought was a very honest person. Being involved in commercial real estate, Masson occasionally learned of proposed projects. Masson was able to recall how he actually learned of the contract between Sable Palm Elementary. Masson did recall that he was the person who introduced Bo to Isnardi. During the interactions between Isnardi and Masson, Isnardi informed Masson that he was Anderson's chief of staff, and he was the person who would facilitate meetings between Bo and the school board members. Bo eventually met with members of the school board and submitted a bid for roofing project at Sable Palm Elementary. When questioned about any subsequent meetings involving Isnardi, Bo and himself, Masson was unsure if they met in person after the initial meeting. Masson did recall that they, Isnardi, Bo, and Masson, did communicate via emails after the initial meeting, but he was unsure of what was discussed in the emails. When questioned if he had any knowledge pertaining to Isnardi soliciting payments from Bo, Masson stated, "No, but it wouldn't surprise me." Masson vaguely recalled that Isnardi had mentioned that he provides consulting services and that he was contemplating opening a consulting business in the future. Masson stated that he had a certain amount of discomfort around Dave. In regard to Isnardi's employment histories, records reflected that Isnardi was employed by Brevard County Commissioner Andy Anderson's legislative aide from November 19, 2008 through September 18, 2010, when Isnardi assumed the position of Commissioner Anderson's Chief of Staff. Isnardi remained at that position until May 8, 2015, which is when Isnardi assumed his new position as Palm Bay's deputy. It says mayor, it should actually be Palm Bay's deputy city manager. On May 26, 2017, Stephen Hammerlich, Isnardi's former business partner, was interviewed. Hammerlich had reported that Isnardi had previously informed him that the pool table was donated to the Space Coast Paratroopers Association by Wendy Cleefish. Excuse me if I mispronounce her name. Hammerlich received a house from the organization and was involved as a volunteer. Isnardi informed Hammerlich that the table was going to be auctioned off during a motorcycle run, and the proceeds would be donated to the SCPA. Isnardi agreed to provide Hammerlich with photographs of the pool table, which Hammerlich would use for promotional services. Isnardi never provided a photograph, and Hammerlich later heard that the table was never sold for the benefit of the organization, but was utilized for Isnardi's own benefit. Hammerlich heard that the table was on Isnardi's back porch at one point. Hammerlich mentioned that Isnardi placed fundraising cans at several stores, and he suspected that Isnardi had utilized other donations for his own personal benefit. On October 4th, 2017, Cleefish was interviewed. Cleefish reported that on an unrecalled date in 2014, she was approached by Isnardi, who requested a donation for the Space Coast Paratroopers Association. Over the following 2-year period, Cleefish donated to the association approximately $2,500, a full-size pool table, and dozens of hours of free limousine service. Cleefish's mother made a $200 cash donation that was specifically donated to help furnish a child's bedroom in one of the veterans' houses. Cleefish later asked Isnardi about the donation for the child's room, and Isnardi informed Cleefish that the money was reallocated to the building of a fence. Per an agreement that Cleefish made with Isnardi, the donated pool table was to be utilized by injured veterans in the city-owned recreation room. Isnardi arranged for the pool table to be moved by Sorensen's Moving Company, and the table was delivered to Isnardi's residence. Dale Davis later informed Cleefish that the pool table was set up at Isnardi's back porch, which Hammerlich also reported to Cleefish. Both Bailey and a confidential source reported that the pool table was eventually set up at the clubhouse. Bailey also reported that Isnardi mentioned that the table was donated to the SCPA. Cleefish subsequently confronted Isnardi about the pool table, and Isnardi admitted to Cleefish that the pool table was on his back porch. Isnardi also admitted that he's purchased balls and sticks for the table, and the pool table was not utilized as Cleefish had wanted. The value of the pool table was estimated at $1,200. During the interview of Isnardi on August 4, 2017, Isnardi admitted that the pool table was set up at the clubhouse and that the table was not utilized as Cleefish had intended. Isnardi had also admitted that he bought pool sticks, balls, and accessories for the table. Hammerlich also reported that in June of 2015, he went to Isnardi's residence and observed a 2002 Buick LeSabre parked on Isnardi's property. According to Hammerlich, the vehicle was in great shape, and he inquired if the vehicle was for sale. Isnardi instructed Hammerlich to make him an offer, to which Hammerlich offered $400, that he thought Isnardi would never accept for a vehicle in such good condition. Isnardi agreed to sell the vehicle for $400, and Hammerlich subsequently gave Isnardi the $400 in cash. Hammerlich reported that he was concerned that Isnardi would attempt to pull a fast one, and would somehow retain ownership of the vehicle. Isnardi never informed Hamrick that the car was donated to the organization, but did provide Hamrick with the signed title with an unknown signer. On June 1st, 2016, Roger Ford, the subject who donated the 2002 LeSabre, was interviewed. Ford reported that approximately 2 years prior to the interview, he was informed of a charity for disabled veterans and decided to donate his 2002 Buick LeSabre to the charity. He contacted the charity and they agreed to accept the vehicle as a donation. Shortly thereafter, a male identified by Ford as David Isnardi came to Ford's residence and took possession of the vehicle from Ford. Ford contacted Special Agent Trelia shortly after the interview concluded and informed Special Agent Trelia that he located a business card that he received from Isnardi when the vehicle was donated. The card was Isnardi's business card from the city of Palm Bay that listed Isnardi as the city's assistant city manager. Ford, a mechanic, reported that the vehicle had high mileage but was really nice, really nice mechanical and cosmetic condition. Ford drove the vehicle from work in Orlando almost daily and was confident the vehicle could be driven to Alaska without issue. According to Ford, the vehicle had new brakes and rotors installed just prior to the vehicle being donated and also had Michelin tires with approximately 30,000 miles on the tires. Ford was specifically questioned about Isnardi's claim that the vehicle needed new tires, to which Ford responded, "That didn't need new tires. No way. If they told you you had to buy new tires for the vehicle, it was a bold-faced lie." Ford reported that the vehicle was donated to the benefit of the charity, not for Isnardi. Ford estimated the value of the vehicle at $2,500. During the interview of Isnardi on August 4th, 2017, Isnardi admitted that he did in fact obtain a 2002 Buick that was donated by Ford to the SCPA. Isnardi claimed that he put about $400 worth of new tires on the vehicle, which he allegedly bought at Quick Tires, a tire store owned by Aguilar's brother. Isnardi was unable to recall how he paid for the tires, cash, check, or by other means. Isnardi did admit that Hamrick gave him $400 cash and that he gave that money to his wife. Isnardi said the SCPA was a little upset and that he didn't go through them with the donation, which Isnardi claimed was his way of saving them money by not having them transfer the title. That concludes the narrative of this document. I'm going out of town tomorrow. I'll return sometime Monday. On Tuesday, I'll be back here and I'll start reading through the 120-page binder of all the interviews that have been released today. This is just a small portion of the evidence that will come forward, but this is what's been released by the State Attorney's Office so far. And if you want to see all the documents and all the audio files released by the State Attorney's Office, you can find them on my website at gaume.us. That's www.gaume.us. So, with that, I'll be back here next week, reading for another hour or so until I get through that 120-page document. But everybody have a good night. Stay safe. I'll be here standing up for you.
Right on. So, Senor, may I please take some of these copies?